On the Bobby Bones Show now.
Claudia Oshry.
Claudia, how are you?
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. And you would think, and I'm going to tell you a little about Claudia here. You would think that I would be my fiance's favorite podcast or radio personality, right? You would think because we live together, we love each other, we do great things together. But she might catch my show once every 3 weeks. But every day, she listens to the Morning Toast. Now, I have to admit, I am now a fan too because I listen to it with her because that's what you do when you're in a relationship. And Claudia is one of the hosts of this podcast. So, Claudia, it is a treat to have you on. Thanks for joining.
So nice to be here. Kate is obviously a woman of taste with amazing taste in podcasts, and we'd love to see that. I'm so happy for you that you found a queen.
Yes, I think she's the king and the queen at the house. She's got both happening here. Claudia has a new book out. It's called Girl with No Job, The Crazy Beautiful Life of an Instagram Thirst Monster. And she talks about a lot of stuff. And I feel like I kind of know her a little bit too. You know when you listen to a show and you feel like you're friends with someone, but they have no idea who you are? Yeah. That's kind of what I feel like with Claudia and her sister. So the first thing I want to mention and talk about is how back in the day you were canceled, right?
Yeah, big time.
So tell everybody what happened to you and what exactly that means.
So I started my Instagram and my business when I was in college, and I've always been obsessed with social media, even in high school. And then I had gained a lot of success with all this stuff. And around 2018, I got, quote unquote canceled, exposed, finding old tweets. And it was kind of the ceremonial canceling, your brand deals pull out, your show gets canceled, and you have to start from scratch. And, professionally and personally, you kind of have to reevaluate where you are in your life and how you got to this place. And now, 3 years later, I actually think it was one of the best things to ever happen to me. I feel like I needed that sort of reality check. I think it really made me do, a lot of self-discovery. And I think I'm in such a better place now, emotionally, personally, because of it. So, yeah, it was not fun to go through. It was super painful and embarrassing and shameful. But with all adversity comes a few positives.
So they just dug through old tweets and then found something and started to spread it. Because once your name starts to be known, people will publish stories about you. That's what happened? You said something when you were a kid?
Yeah. I had a bunch of tweets from when I was in high school that were they were meant to be jokes, but they were really not funny.
Yeah, that sucks to get that call and go, hey, we're not going to spend money with you. Listen,
it was a crazy day. And in the book, I really chronicle what happened from the moment I woke up for the next several weeks, because it was just one thing after another.
I heard, I was either Claudia or her sister in a recent morning, because I'm a toaster. I'd say I'm a toaster. I believe she said when the show started, someone said, hey, how was your day? And she said, well, I had a dream last night that I made love to Brett Eldridge, and it was fantastic.
I did say that.
Okay, that was you. Okay. Now, Brett is
100%.
Brett's a dear friend of mine. What is your fascination with Brett?
Well, we do CMA Red Carpet every year. We do it live from on YouTube. And I'm just obsessed with him. I think he's a wonderful singer-songwriter and just an all-around handsome gentleman. And he's always so courteous and lovely. And I'm just a big, big fan of his. And, the subconscious wants what the subconscious wants.
Have you ever had Brett on your show?
On the red carpet, yes, but not on the podcast in New York.
Well, let me know. I have an in. If you ever want Brett on your show.
Me. Well, you should be careful of offering your services because, I'm the type of person who will follow up.
Well, and Luke Combs, too. You love Luke Combs.
Love. Luke has been on the show. Nicole is she's a toaster. That's how we all became friends. And I'm so obsessed with them. It's been so fun to watch the rise of Luke Combs, knowing he's just gotten there because he's so supremely talented in every single way. And the fact that I have an in, it doesn't hurt.
I was watching Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, which I know you watch as well. And I watch it because of Caitlin.
Love.
So,
sure.
in this, I have two. Yeah, right. No, I do like it now because of me a little bit, but I only got in because of Caitlin. There are two problems I have with this show, and I want to see if you have the same problems. One is I'm watching an episode where they're all going to Vegas, and they're supposed to be extremely rich, and they have multiple houses, but they're flying on a commercial airplane all together. Now, I know rich people. If you're flying from Utah to Vegas, you're not flying American Airlines if you're that rich. Talk to me about that.
Well, you're speaking my language here, Bobby, because as a Housewives historian, it really did start out as a show exclusively made for uber wealthy people. But now it's become somewhat of this coveted, job. And it's not always the richest women in these cities. And a lot of time, the actual richest women and the actual Real Housewives of these towns aren't interested in putting their lives on blast on television. So it's this weird space that Bravo has gotten into where it's like, these women are interesting, they're fabulous, but they're not necessarily like uber wealthy. And that's why I love Beverly Hills Housewives the most, because I think out of all the franchises individually, they have the largest net worth.
Because they were in the scene before that, someone was bragging about which house she likes the best of hers. And the next thing you know, she's sitting next to the toilet in the back of a, Alaska air flight. And I'm like, this is not the same.
You're right. It's not consistent, and that is frustrating as a viewer.
Also, there's a woman in Real Housewives of Salt Lake City who is married to her step-grandfather. Now, I have trouble with this. I have trouble watching her character at all because of the situation where her grandmother said in the will or after she died, you need to marry him so you can have the church. And then they have a kid with him. Yeah. Does that make you uncomfortable?
Bobby, with all due respect, aren't you from Arkansas?
Oh.
Isn't this common where you're from?
No, it is not. We need to hey, remember when I said you guys probably only talk about tampons on your show? And you got, This is the exact same thing you're doing to me.
Oh, my God. You're totally right. No, honestly, I don't think it's obviously super bizarre, but when you think about it in terms of, like, incest, there's not really anything wrong with it. It's just kind of weird.
Would you be okay with dating a stepbrother if, let's say, you were 15 when your stepbrother came into your life?
Absolutely not.
Okay, same thing, not incest.
No, it's 100% bizarre. But, when you watch Mary on the show, you actually have empathy for her because I think she knows, like, what everyone thinks about her in her marriage, and she's just kind of self-conscious about it, and I kind of feel bad for her.
You guys go to girlwithnojob.com/book to get Claudia's book. This Girl with No Job account has over 3 million followers. How do you make a meme account, and how did it get so popular?
I started really early. I think a lot of the success has to do with the timing. When I was, a freshman in college, which was 2012, 2013, is when I started. And I think that just having deep roots on Instagram is really helpful because now it's a super oversaturated market. Everyone is flocking to Instagram to start a brand. And when you started it, like I did in 2013, it gives you a leg up. It wasn't being an influencer wasn't a job.
Caitlin thinks that you're Demoy, who I follow on Instagram. Do you follow Demoy?
No.
Who gives all the Demoy is this account that gives all the secret celebrity tips and people email in, and Caitlin is just convinced that it is you. Is Demoy you?
Okay, I wish that it was me because that Instagram is growing so fast. It is not me. I do know who it is, but it's not me.
Who is the biggest thirst monster in Hollywood?
I just sounded like I was lying, but I swear I'm not.
Yeah, I take your word for it. Who is the biggest the biggest thirst monster in Hollywood? Who wants the most to be seen all the time?
I think if we've learned anything this year, that it's definitely Hilaria Baldwin.
Oh, that's right. When she was faking like she was from Spain. Did you guys follow that?
No, I have no idea.
That was really thirsty of her.
She was acting like she couldn't pronounce the word cucumber, but she's from Massachusetts.
Oh, yeah.
No, if you go back and watch her old interviews, it's some of the most uncomfortable stuff, like knowing what we know now. I'm really embarrassed for her.
I have a couple other things. My former dance partner on Dancing with the Stars, Sharna, is dating Brian Austin Green. I haven't spoken to her since that was announced or since they're together, so I know nothing about it personally. How do you feel about him?
I think he's kind of messy with his whole Machine Gun Kelly and, Megan Fox thing. But I take Megan Fox's side in the divorce, but I'm happy for your former dance partner.
Me too, right? Good for her. I hope if she found somebody.
It's always exciting to date someone famous,
I do not know, but
me neither.
Yeah. Well, listen, check out Claudia's book, Girl with No Job: The Crazy Beautiful Life of an Instagram Thirst Monster. Have you made significant money off your Instagram?
Yes.
Nice. At what point?
I detail it a little bit more in depth in the book if everyone wants to purchase and find out some more detail.
Well, I think everybody wants to know how much money you can make. Like, if you have 1 million Instagram followers, just rough ballpark, what can you make in a year?
Well, it really depends on what type of audience you have. If they're, like, super engaged and transactional, because a lot of people have tons of Instagram followers, but they have no real influence. And that is a useless platform in terms of making money. But if you have a really engaged audience with 1 million followers, I think it's fair to say you can make, just from Instagram, anywhere from $500,000 a year or more.
Dang. Wow.
Are you kidding me?
No, it's crazy. It's the Wild West out here, Bobby.
Holy moly. All right. I got to get to work on
Well,
my
and she
Instagram.
has 3 million, so multiply that times.
Are you? Yeah. And you live in New York. So
Yeah.
is it still pretty shut down up there? Is life somewhat back to normal?
Not at all. It's so crazy over here. There's nothing going on, no restaurants. The streets are just dead, and it's actually really, really sad.
All right, Claudia, it's great talking with you. You guys check out The Morning Toast, which is Caitlin's favorite podcast, and it's definitely in my top 5 now because if we're in the car on a road trip, we're listening to, and you know what? Caitlin's always like, I want to subscribe to their Patreon page. And I'm like, you're going to pay, I'm like, you're going to go pay money? She goes, but they get the whole family together. And I'm like, I'm like, you're going to pay.
You know what? Like I said before, she is truly a woman of taste.
Okay, there she is. Go check it out. Go to girlwithnojob.com/book. Claudia, good to talk to you. Hopefully I talk to you again soon.
Yes, bye guys. Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye.
It's about